Hello, and again, a warm welcome to all my audience of this session on what's new and exciting cooking in SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules. I am Archana Shukla. I am from the product management team of SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules and Workflow. And today you will see some very recent innovation features that we have developed in SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules, and now that we provided to you to leverage and improve your experience while authoring and managing business rules in cloud. So here is the quick agenda for the session today. So I'll start with the introduction of SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules and how have we integrated with Intelligent Enterprise, then followed with a brief architecture of the service, and then followed by all these new features on how have we integrated business rules with SAP HANA, with S4 HANA on-premise, and the value help option and OAuth to support together with. We have also did a recent delivery to Cloud Foundry, and we'll talk about that, and some information on the educational content. Finally, I'll close with the roadmap and summary. So let us now start with a brief introduction about the portfolio and how we align on Intelligent Enterprise Suite. So in 2018, SAP is bringing a framework for the Intelligent Enterprise. This framework basically showcases the complete portfolio, which includes an intelligent suite of applications, a digital platform in form of SAP Cloud Platform, and an SAP Data Management Suite, and finally the intelligent technologies with SAP Leonardo. So all these three key components comprises the entire Intelligent Enterprise Suite. So, and we truly understand that our customers and needs and priorities cannot be accomplished with the silos, best-of-breed products and applications. So we have therefore come up with these integrated, combined suite of integration and orchestration services for all our developers who develop these APIs, workflows, and apps, and then for for business users who work with these tasks and digital processes, and finally the citizen integration in the cloud platform. So the various services that comprise of this portfolio is workflow, business rules, cloud integration, API management, and IoT services, and soon to be launched process visibility service. But today we are going to talk more about business rules. So what is business rules and why is the need for such a service in the cloud? So as the name conveys, SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules is a business rules management technology in the cloud, and it can be effectively used to manage and integrate your business decisions in cloud. And it is also aligned to our SAP strategies, which is basically to help our customers to smoothly derive digital transformation, and therefore you can use the service to digitize and automate decisions in your organization. So these are three key value propositions that we are offering. The first one is about empowering the business users to manage their business logic independently of the application. And how can you achieve that is via the web-based modeling tool that we provide, through which you can author and manage your rules. Besides this, we also provide an SAP UI5 control that you can embed in your custom applications and to manage the rules. The second value proposition is about the RESTful APIs. So we provide two sets of APIs, which are design time APIs and runtime APIs. Through design time APIs, you can actually model your rules, and you can also manage various life cycles of rule like editing and deleting using these APIs. So almost everything that you can do with the tool, you can also do with the APIs. And then is the runtime APIs, through which you can basically consume or invoke the rules once you have built and deployed them into the cloud platform. And final value proposition is about extending the business logic. So if you already have an SAP solution and you want to extend your business logic in there, then you can use SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules. Now moving on to the architecture. So here is the bigger picture of SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules that is showing how various components of Business Rules service interacts with each other and with other services in the cloud platform. So on the top layer, you see the three main key components of Business Rules. The first one is a Manage Rules project application, and this is a web interface through which you can manage and author and also deploy your rules. The second one is the Business Rules repository, and here is where all the design time artifacts get persisted, and then is the Business Rules engine, which is mainly responsible for executing and invoking the service in the cloud. So now, as soon as you model the rules and deploy them, a REST interface gets created, and it is with this REST-based service, which is the interface to integrate with other services in the cloud, like workflow, cloud integration, and IoT Gateway Edge 4.0. To platforms outside this SAP Cloud Platform, you see a direct connection. This is because we have now provided a direct deployment from SAP Cloud Platform to SAP HANA to S4 HANA on-premise, and soon you will see also S4 HANA on cloud. So that's what we are going to see as part of the new feature development that we have done in this session. Before I begin, let's do a quick recap of what we delivered in the first half of the year. So in the first half of the year, you saw that we delivered text rules. So we already had a decision table rules in the first iteration, and in the second iteration, we released another type of rules construct, which is a text rule. Then we had export and import features for the rules project, so that in case if you want to transport your rules from one system to another, you can make use of these features. Then there were multiple enhancements done to the modeling to improve the modeling experience, and also we had an integration of all our APIs, the one that I talked, like design time and runtime, into API Business Hub. But what we are going to see today as part of the demo, and also what we released the features from July, August, and September and October timeframe, is the integration with SAP HANA. Then we also had nice learning journeys released, so you can make use of these learning journeys to start on your learning experience with SAP Cloud Platform Business Rule. It has the nice guided set of procedures where it makes you connect with the blogs, with various documentations, tutorials, and so on and so forth. And we also released the video tutorials on employee onboarding. So this is our blueprint scenario, which shows the integration of various services in orchestration, like workflow and business rules, and how they can work together in an extension scenarios for success factors. So this video tutorial is available in the YouTube channel. You can have a look at it. I'll be providing the link of all these materials, and then you can leverage them for your learning. Besides that, we also released the integration with SAP S4 HANA on-premise, and some options that I told, like value help and OAuth support. So let us get started. Okay, before I do that, so we release every 2 weeks or 4 weeks, depending upon how the release cycle is, and you can find all the information about what we have released in this What's New link, and you can keep yourself updated with all the latest releases that we do. So starting with the first major feature that we delivered early this year, and it was about business rules integration with SAP HANA. So what does that mean? So it means that now you can model, now you can model your business rules in cloud, and with just one click deployment from the cloud, you can actually make your rules sit in SAP HANA, and then you can consume them from your SAP HANA system. So this is so analytical decision making was already there with SAP HANA Rules Framework product. So now you might be wondering that if there was already a product, then what's the need of this service? Yes, SAP HANA Rules Framework, also known as HRF, was there, but it was an on-premise add-on product that was over SAP HANA. But if you do not want to have that kind of an add-on and you want to simply model your rules and deploy your rules without purchasing any new set of component on HANA, so you model your rules in SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules, do the deployment directly to SAP HANA. So here in the solution diagram is what you see, what I've already told. So starting from the left, so a rule developer will model the rules using the Manage Rules project application that is available as part of the business rules. And then once you have modeled all your rules and defined various other artifacts like rule service, rule sets in rule project, then you deploy the rules. So what happens is when you deploy the rules, so there are a set of compilers for different system that we are supporting. So since it's a HANA, since we have modeled the rule on HANA system, so the HANA respective compiler gets activated and it will generate all the HANA related artifacts, and then it will be transferred on using the connectivity service in the cloud platform and the cloud connector in the on-premise, and then will go and sit in Access Classics repository. So in between, there's also a new connector that we have released that is called Rules HANA Connector. It is a very lightweight XSA application that you have to set up in your Access Advanced system. And once you have done that, so this Rules HANA Connector is mainly responsible for activating all the HANA artifacts that are being generated from the compiler and has been transported to the SAP HANA system. So now in HRF also the end result of a rule was a SQL procedure, and for here also the end result is a SQL procedure. And so what we are trying and telling here is that the runtime environment for SAP HANA for rules is not changing, which means if your application have already been consuming SQL procedure, it will still remain the same. We are moving the design time environment from the on-premise device to the on-cloud. So that was about the solution diagram. Now to showcase this feature, I have chosen a very small scenario, which is called offer management scenario in the telecommunication industries. And to explain the use case is that the offers are very common in telecommunication industries, and therefore communication providers are in constant search for new and innovative ways as how they can offer the service, a better service to their customer and achieve their customer satisfaction. But to do that, they have to scan millions of records, and they have to run the complex rules to arrive to a personalized offer. So to scan the millions of records, we leverage the in-memory capability of SAP HANA, and to model the rules, we use SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules. So what is a prerequisite here is that your tables, your data, and everything is available in HANA. We are not bringing in the data from HANA onto the cloud. We are only bringing in the structure. So what you will do is your prerequisite is that maybe you already have tables like these ones already created in HANA. So for offer management, I have these 3 sets of tables, and each one of them are related to each other with customer ID. So now what I'll show you is how these tables can be imported into the HANA and the rules can be built on top of. So to do so, the first thing is that if you see here, this is Manage Rules Project Application. So this is the launchpad or the landing page for all your business rules in this cloud tenant. So the first thing with this, we introduce a new feature called Configure Systems. So some concept of configure system. So what's happening here is that using the destination service of SAP Cloud Platform Cockpit, you will first create the destinations where you want the system to be connected to. So this is the backend SAP HANA system to which I want to connect the business rules to basically import the data object. Okay, and then going to the business rules editor, the first thing is that you have to configure the system which means you have to give a name to the system, and then you have to mention that destination which you have just configured in the cockpit. Once you have done that, this is the first set of configuration. Then I go into this offer management project that I have pre-built for the session. And here, the first thing you will notice is this system mentioned here. So when you create a project, you will get an option to basically all the systems that are available in configure system, but you choose SAP HANA because you want to model your artifacts on SAP HANA system. So then the next thing is the data objects. If you see the data objects, these are the data objects that are already available in the backend system. So these are nothing but the tables. And then what we have done is, so let's take one of the tables that is tariff table. So in the tariff table, you can also import the table, or you can also manually create these attributes here. So in this tariff type table, these attributes have been created. The additional thing that you will notice here is the annotations. So annotations are must if you have used a system that is not cloud platform. So these annotations are nothing but a mapping from the cloud platform business rules to the backend system. So what this is telling is that this tariff type data objects maps to the DAT 614 schema in the backend SAP HANA system, and this is the table name that it is referring to. Similarly, there are also the annotations attached at the attribute level. So here, if you see, so this is an annotation which is telling that this is the column in the tariff table of the SAP HANA system, and what is the data type and column length. So annotations have to be exact match to what is there in the backend system, else the deployment would fail. So the only change if you are using an SAP HANA system is first to define this system here, and then to define annotations in the data objects level and also at the attribute level. Then if you see here, so there are several rules that I have written for offer management. So depending upon whether the customer is loyal or the customer contract is expiring and so on and so forth. So there are certain offers that are made to the customer. So rule modeling experience doesn't change. It still remains the same as it. There's no change in the rules modeling. The other change that happens is at the rule service level again. So if once you are defining it, the rule service, so again there are annotation associated. So because it's a SAP HANA system, so you use SAP HANA XSC annotation type, and what you are telling is that in this package of the backend HANA system, your SQL procedure will be generated. Okay, and so once you have done these three things, the only thing you do then is deploy. So you choose a deploy and deploy to this SAP HANA system. Okay, so that was about how you model and manage your rules. So now what I will quickly do is I will go into the HANA system and will also show you how the procedure gets generated. Okay, so you see this is the table from where I extracted or imported my data objects. So if you see, these are the three tables that are already existing, and then this is the procedure that gets generated. So if you see, this is a DAT 614 schema, and then DAT 61.user000 is the package name where the schema the procedure got generated, and this is actually the rule service ID. So if you go into the rule service, and if I can just get the ID of the rule service. So if you see, and this is the ID with which the procedure gets generated. This is just to maintain the uniqueness of the rule service. So here the rule service gets generated, and then you can call this procedure as you call any other procedure. So let me just do a quick call for you. And so it will give you the result. So these are actually the result that we have got after the rules got executed. So just a quick recap of what you saw with integration to SAP HANA. So with SAP HANA on-premise 1.0 SP12 or above, or SAP HANA 2.0, we have published something called the Rules HANA connector, which you have to set this up in your HANA system. And then for the exercise that I showed you, your schemas and tables should already be created. And as I said, Rules HANA connector should be set up. As part of the SAP Cloud Platform, you have to set up a cloud connector because the communication has to happen between the cloud and the on-premise system. And then the destination has to be created, which is then used to configure the system in the business rules. And then, as I said, annotations have to be defined. And then finally, you deploy the rule service onto the system and you choose SAP HANA system, whichever you have defined as part of configure system. And finally, a SQL procedure will get generated, and you can consume that procedure as you could consume any other SQL procedure in your HANA applications. I have also written a blog on this, and which explains all the steps that are needed to work with SAP HANA integration with business rules. And we also have a sample content that I'll talk about later, that you can also use it and set it up in your environment for education purpose. Now, moving on to the next service. So next feature is about integration of business rules with S/4HANA on-premise. So this is available with S/4HANA 18.09 release, and we are supporting these three types of use cases. So in operational use case, which means that you do not want your rules to be run on the entire database tables. Instead, you want to run on a subset of the data. So then, in that case, you don't pass the input to the rule service as input. Instead, you don't pass it as a reference, but pass it as an input. And so your data or the rules will be run only on the data that you pass as an input. And so we have created this one rule in the demo that I'll be showing it to you. Then comes the analytical rules. In the analytical rules means you want to run your rules on the entire data set for audit, for analytical purposes, and so on. So for that, you don't pass these views or tables as input. You just pass it as a reference, and rule will then run on the entire data set. And then you can also create a mixture of rules, which means you could run the rules on some data objects that are of input type and some data objects that are of reference type. Again, a quick solution architecture for S/4HANA on-premise integration. So left side, again, remains the same, where developers manage rules project to model the rules. Now, because it's an S/4HANA system, so an ABAP-based compiler will be triggered, and it will be responsible to basically generating and persisting ABAP BRF plus runtime BRF plus artifact that finally gets persisted in runtime repository. So in the channel, and that does that. So there is a connectivity service which establishes a secure connector with the cloud connector, and then using the SAP gateway setup that we do, it finally the OData service finally is responsible for persisting the runtime artifacts in the runtime repository of BRF plus. Then we have exposed some ABAP utility APIs, and using these utility APIs, you can consume the rules in your S/4HANA applications. Now let me take you to the demos. So I've chosen the S slides, so people who come from S/4HANA background or ABAP background, they're very well aware of this S slide scenario, which is like used in almost every training of BRF plus. And so we have chosen that scenario. Again, what you have to do is you have to basically set up this this destination. So this destination is actually to the backend system. So this is an S4 HANA system, and I've created a destination, and the same destination I will be using it to configure the system. So I've created one system called S4 HANA system, and then if you see here the destination, this is not the system. I'll just quickly, yeah. So if you see this, the destination is the same. So I have configured this destination here, and then the steps that we do for S4 HANA is exactly the same. So you go to the project details and you set the system to S4 HANA. Then in the data objects, basically now you see the data objects are something that looks similar to the ABAP CDS views, and so we have again the change that you will notice is annotation, because now this is S4 HANA, so annotation type for the data object would change, unlike in S4 HANA. And let me also take you to one of the attributes and show you the annotation there. So this is actually referring to the backend column FL date of data type date. And if you go and look at the annotation for this table, so it is referring to this view name or CDS view in the backend system. Okay, again, the rules, if you see, so we have created 3 rule services, and as I explained to you, the 3 usage types. So if you see here, we have a different usage type, input and reference. So input is when you want to use a subset of this customer table, and reference is when you want to work on the entire data of this booking underscore table view. And then you also see that the annotation for the rule service is changing here, which is a BAP on HANA, and unlike HANA where it was HANA CDS. Okay, so again, once you have defined all this, what you have to do is you just have to go ahead and deploy this application to your chosen system, and then it is available to be consumed in the backend system. So now what I'll quickly do is I'll open this system for you. So this is my so this is my S4 HANA system, and I have written a very small ABAP program just to showcase to you how the rules are being consumed. So let me first execute this program. So here in this program, it's asking me to give a rule service ID. So let me give a rule service ID here, and okay, and depending upon which rule service you chose, it will ask you for the input. So let me put some input. Okay, and then I'll just execute it. Okay, so you see a certain discount getting consumer return. So this is like the rule is returning some discount based on some input. And if I change the rule service, you see that the discount will change. And let me do this. So you see the discount getting changed if I change the rule service that I want. So this is just an application just to show how the rules are consumed. I would also want to show you the code for this and also take you exactly to the place where the rules are being consumed. So if you see here, this is actually this is the BRF plus function that is, or utility function that is responsible for calling the rules. So so you just call this function and give the rule service ID. So the rule service ID is what is needed here. So this function was already available, so people who have worked with BRF Plus knows that this function was always there, so we are reusing that. So as I said, the runtime again doesn't changes. It's working as it was working for BRF Plus use cases, but what we have done is we have moved, we are trying and building and enhancing the BRF Plus workbench by moving it from the S4 HANA onto SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules. Okay, again, the quick recap. So I won't walk through over, but the only difference is that it is with S4 HANA 1809. This is available, and for that you need to register an ERM gateway service, because that is our main component that establishes the communications and creates and persists the ABAP artifacts in the runtime repository. And also what is different is how you consume the business rules in S4HANA using this BRF Plus functions that is pre-delivered. Again, a detailed blog is available for what all I told you, and also a sample application is available which have sample rules, and also the small BRF ABAP program that I showed you, that is also available. You can make use for learning purpose. Now, moving on to our third feature set, which is value help options and OAuth 2.0 support. So let us first go into the value help options. So value help was very recently delivered, and we are providing value help in two forms: the dynamic and the static. So in the dynamic value help, you can actually give a service URL, and the rules will make a connection to the backend system and fetch all the data that you want from the value help. Like in this case, in the screenshot, you see that we are fetching some equipment IDs from this backend service. The second one is a static value help. So this value help is where you define the key and value pair that you would wish to see whenever you want to edit an attribute. So value help is at the attribute level. So when you are defining the attributes in the data objects, you can choose whether you want it to be a value help type, and then which type of value help, whether it will be a static value help or a dynamic value help. And then when you are editing that particular attribute via decision table or via the text rule, then the first option that you will get was to select from a value help, and then when you click that, depending upon what kind of value help it is you have given to this, you have in fact attached to this attribute, the respective response you will get. So now let me show you a quick demo on that. Okay, so again, the first thing that you do with the value help is defining the destination. So destination is required in case if you want to use dynamic value help. So you define this destination. So here, this is one of the success factors destination that I have configured, because in my rules, I want to call the success factors APIs to fetch me some kind of equipment details. So you define the success factor or whichever system you want to connect to or destination for that. Then you go on to your business rule system. Again, in the configure system, you have to basically create a system with the destination, whichever system you want to connect to. And then when you are modeling your rules, so as I said, value help is attached to the attribute. So let me go into one of the attributes, and so here the country of company, and whenever you go into the attribute, you see this new option called value help. So you can choose from the available list, like whether you want a value list or whether you want a service URL. So if you choose a value list, okay, so these are like the options that you will get, and when you go into the value help, so you will see that because it was a static value list, so I have created these country codes and which I want to show which I wanted to show to my users who are editing this the rules based on this attribute. This is one kind of value help. In other kind of value help, like in this case, where I want to fetch the product IDs for the equipment from the backend and SuccessFactors system. So I have chosen the service URL mapping kind of a value help, and when I go in, I have to give the relative URL. So you have already created a destination, and then you have to give the relative URL from where this value help options will be chosen from. Okay, so once you have defined the value help, the next thing is how it appears. So I'm going into a decision table based rule, and I'll put it into an edit mode. And if you see here, product ID was a dynamic. So if you see here, I get that option. This option will be there only if you have defined a value help for this attribute. So when you click this, it takes some time. So it has fetched using the relative URL if you constructed the entire row data path, and have fetched all the values and the items. And if you choose one of them, it gets chosen like this. Now coming on to the country of the company, where we gave the value help as static list. So when you choose this, you will get all the static list, the key value pairs that you've chosen. So you choose one of them, it just gets selected. So that's how you can use value help both in form of static or dynamic while modeling the rules. The next comes the OAuth support. So if you have already worked with rules, so you know that initially the rules APIs can only be called using the basic authentication, but we now have support for OAuth 2.0 client. And so for that, you have to create a client. I mean, these all steps are very, very generic, that you create a client in Cloud Platform. And then you create these destinations, as you see it in the screen. You create these destinations that actually creates, and that's basically to connect to the OAuth support. So I'll just quickly show you how it looks. So I am going into the workflow because I want to consume a rule service with OAuth 2.0 authentication in my workflow. So here, if you see, I've created these two destinations. So this is how you consume the you have to create two destinations. First one, which points out to get the OAuth token. And then the second one is actually in additional properties, you give the destination that consumes the OAuth token and then calls this APIs for the rules. Okay, so this is the rule service URL. So I will now go into the Web IDE to show you that how the OAuth is being used in workflow. So in workflow, I've put one service task, and here I have used a destination, the same destination that I showed you. This is an OAuth 2.0 based destination, and then you just configure the service task to call the rules. So similarly, you can use it in any application. I have this use case for workflow, but you can use it in any consuming applications to work with OAuth 2.0. But this is only client credential based. It's not authorization grants yet. Okay, so that completes the introductions and demo to the third set of features, and now the feature 4, which is about samples in API Business Hub. So for those who don't know, SAP API Business Hub is a central catalog hosted by SAP to discover and explore SAP and selected partners, the API and sample app that they build and which can be used by others while they are building their extensions or process integrations. Now, this is an effort from SAP to actually provide a consistent overview of all your APIs and content that otherwise would have been scattered at different locations depending upon different LOB solutions and the products and services. So as I said, business rules APIs were already published as part of the API Hub, and recently as part of an open platform approach, we have also started contributing these new sample content mainly for education and learning purpose in SAP API Business Hub. So currently we have published these 3 sample content, and these 3 are about what I have showed you. So one of them is how you integrate with SAP HANA, and then it is how you integrate with S4 HANA, and finally the shopping or promotion rules. So this rules is like a standalone kind of rules that you can use it in your custom application. So I will also quickly take you as how you can see it. So you just go to sapapi.com and then you search for business rules, and all these icons and this icon are actually the sample content, and so you can just go into the sample content. So let me go into one of the sample content, and depending upon what all information you need for this is all available here, and it has a nice demo guide which tells you how to demo this, and also some other assets to basically set it up. So this is an application, shopping cart application that you can set it up, and then there's a rules project that you can import in your trial landscape, and you can just it's a very quick, this whole setup just sometimes takes just 5 to 10 minutes, and you can learn like how the rules are built, authored, and also consumed in these various scenarios. With this, let me come to the final feature, which is about business rules in Cloud Foundry. It's quite a while since business rules is released in Cloud Foundry, and as part and why multi-cloud? Like, this is a standard slide which says that as part of the multi-cloud strategy, SAP is working together with Cloud Foundry and is offering the enterprises the freedom to choose and the underlying cloud infrastructure, and they also are giving the flexibility to co-locate new applications, and also while this all you can do while meeting regulatory and compliance requirements. So SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules was available in Cloud Foundry trial in AWS Europe Frankfurt Data Center, and it will be released in early quarter one of 2019 for enterprise and productive consumption. So first we are going with AWS, and then we will go to Azure and Google Cloud Platform. So there's also a quick start guide that I have written. So it's a step-to-step guide as how you can enable business rule subscription in your Cloud Foundry trial, and how you can work with it. So please note that there's no difference between the Neo and the Cloud Foundry environment of modeling the rules. So if I can show you that as well. So this is my trial account in the CF, and and as part of this trial account, so business rules is both PaaS and SaaS. So we also provide subscriptions for business rules, and so you can find the subscriptions here in the subscriptions tab, and then when you go into this, you have to just enable this, and it just gets available. And then if you go to the application, it leads you directly to the same manage rules application that I showed you in the new. So let me just quickly log in into this. Okay, so you see this whole managed project application is the look and feel. Everything is exactly the same. So you can try this out. You can read my blog, and you can just try this service out, and just let us know your experience. And we'll soon be releasing it for enterprise, and so you can start using it. Now, before I close, a quick roadmap. So this was our vision, and this is our vision, and through this vision you can clearly see that what we are trying and providing you is a unified experience across all rules technologies in SAP, and this is achieved using SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules, where we give you one authoring and governing tool and one tool to maintain your lifecycle and repository artifacts. What doesn't change is the runtimes, which means from SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules, you can directly deploy your artifacts to SAP HANA, to your S4HANA on-premise, and with 18.11 release, you will also get it for S4HANA on cloud, and also together with IoT things. The other thing that we are also planning is to release the content, to keep releasing the content. And currently they are sample content, but soon we'll also be releasing the LOB-based integrations and integration content in the Content Hub, so that it can be directly used and consumed for the use cases. So as part of recent innovations, as you saw that the value help is already getting released. What you'll also see next month is a version management that is coming up for business rules artifacts like project and rule services. And then with S4HANA Cloud 18.11 release, we are going to provide a direct deployment to S4HANA Cloud as well. And then later next year, we will be providing some nice features while rule authoring, like decision table import export feature, and we are also going to bring in a new modeling construct called flow rules, and also the formula rules. If you come from BRF Plus background, you know that the formula rules are quite popular in BRF Plus. Then there will be a lot of changes done in the lifecycle management aspects, where we are going to introduce the granular management. So currently, you only have one user access, and if you have that, you are able to see everything in the rules. But we are going to work to provide the granular access. And then we will continue be working for the multi-cloud strategy, first releasing in AWS, and then, as I said, Azure and GCP data centers. So before I end my session, let me quickly summarize on what you have learned today. So SAP Cloud Platform, as I told, is a platform service which enables business users and application developers to automate their decisions and also improve their decision-making experience with SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules. Now, moving closer to our vision, we have delivered features like integration touchpoints with different SAP systems, like SAP HANA and S4HANA, and we have unified the modeling experience for which you achieved using HRF and BRF Plus usually, and also catering to the need of our stakeholders on content marketplace model. We began publishing the sample content, And soon we will publish the LOB solutions or LOB contents that will also show the integration of business rules with other scenarios. So along with this, we also have business rules offering in Cloud Foundry, and that will be available in trial. That is available in trial and will be soon available for enterprise consumption. These are some of the asset links with SAP Cloud Platform business rules. There's a big community that we have. We keep publishing blogs and articles that as and when we release some features, and there are nice blueprints that shows how business rules can be consumed and integrated with other LOB solutions of SAP. As I mentioned, there are learning journeys and then some prepackaged content. So all these links will be shared with you, and you can leverage them for starting your journeys if you have not yet started, or enhancing your experience working with rules. So with this, I conclude my session on what's new with SAP Cloud Platform Business Rules. I thank you all for being part of my session.